good blessed Wednesday, March the 24th, 2021. Time being about 6:25 p.m. I come to give you all an update. Those that's been following the mysterious death of my oldest child, my son, Ryan, who they claim, when I say they, the coroner and a lieutenant at the Carbondale Police Department, I'm not going to say any names at this moment, in the coroner that handled the deaths in Carbondale, Illinois, they come to the conclusion that my son hung himself, committed suicide. Me and my two young daughters, we traveled from here, from Charleston, Missouri to Carbondale this morning. My son's mother and her second oldest son, my son's brother, they traveled from Chicago, and we met. Me and the mother went in and sat down with the coroner and the lieutenant of the of the Carbondale Police Department, and they said, from what they see, they don't feel it's a homicide. They feel that he has committed suicide. I'm not going to give y'all a lot of the information because, if there be a legitimate investigation, we don't want, if somebody done murdered my son, which I believe he did, and most of the people that I know and most of the people that follow me, we believe the same thing. But we don't want to give out too much information. But I can tell you this much. They came to that conclusion. Well, the lieutenant, he'll come to the conclusion what the sergeant did, what the coroner did, because the coroner said from what some things that he see, that's what he feel it was. But the toxicology tests haven't even came back yet. They didn't even do an autopsy. Wasn't finna do an autopsy until I said that's what we wanted. My son's mother couldn't stand really talking about this here, but it's some things that just don't make sense to me. When you a coroner, any and everything that was on a person, that even if you assume that he hung himself, should be considered something, if an investigation was done, that you can get some type of DNA off of. I was told that you couldn't get no DNA off the belt. Now see, the coroner, before I left, he wanted my YouTube channel, and I gave it to him. Raymond, Raymond, Ivy. And I told him they can tell that to somebody else. Because before DNA was out, when women got raped and they couldn't find out who it was, or somebody got murdered and they had stuff with blood on it, you see what I'm saying, or semen on it, but then when DNA come out, it helped them get convictions, and it helped them overturn some people's cases. So how you can't get DNA off a belt? You see what I'm saying? When somebody sending me a threatening letter, I'm in a smaller town than them, they sent me a threatening letter through the mail because I'm an activist. You see what I'm saying? Telling me that I'm on lights out, cameras out. You see what I'm saying? As if they're going to do something to me. But it went to the crime lab for the Missouri State Highway Patrol. How were they able to get DNA off the letter and find out who fingerprints it was? We took some fingerprints and got the fingerprints. The same way they did that the Illinois State Police or the FBI, you see what I'm saying? Or the Illinois Bureau of Investigation, they can take that belt that he allegedly hung himself with. You see what I'm saying? I looked at my son's body, and it's just some things that don't add up. I want everybody that has common sense, tell me how many suicides by hanging that any of y'all seen with a person hanging themselves in a little bitty compartment. If you look at my YouTube, you'll see where he allegedly hung himself. Got his hand balled up. I ain't gonna say the amount, but with some money in his hand. I just can't see it. But it's a whole lot of other things that's not being answered. The lieutenant called me a couple of hours ago and told me his captain called him. Now tell me this here. His captain called him and said somebody contacted the NAACP in Carbondale, Illinois, and they said that they wanted to come to the autopsy. Now, they wasn't going to do no autopsy at first. He told me it may be sometime next week, but they called and told me it'll be tomorrow now. You see what I'm saying? And I told him I want to go, and he said, well, I don't know. He said, I don't know, but number one, when you call me, what are you calling me to tell me that your captain called you and said that somebody called the NAACP, and he said, I don't know if you called him or somebody else. That's irrelevant. My son is dead. Y'all saying y'all assuming he hung himself. You ain't got no toxicology tests. You ain't took no autopsy, but you came to that conclusion. What different if me, my daughter, anybody else contacted the NAACP, the Ku Klux Klan, the black militants, or anybody else? Somebody got to look into what y'all doing, and then he gonna tell me I'm arguing with him. I said, you don't even know me. You just met me today. I said, when I was sitting in there with you, I'm telling the lieutenant this here, when I was sitting in this little room with you, the coroner, and my son's mother, y'all seen that y'all was breaking her down with talking about his death, but y'all didn't faze me at all. I probably done seen more deaths than y'all seen in your lifetime. But when he got to speaking, saying, well, this happened on such and such month and such date, and when I stopped him, you asked me, this is the lieutenant telling me to stop interrupting the coroner. The coroner ain't telling me, this is the lieutenant. And this is what I told him. I said, if you had a murder case or you had any type of case in a court of law, and the defense attorney was saying something, knowing you ain't gonna be on the defense side, you're gonna be on the prosecuting side, and they say something that ain't right or something you don't understand and you will object to it, the judge got two things he can do. He can sustain it or he can overrule it. When this man said, I'm gonna just say hypothetically speaking, January the 1st, I stopped him to ask him, January the 1st of what year? Do that make sense? January the 1st could have been January the 1st of 2021, 2019, or any other year. And this seemed to make him kind of upset. Then when he was trying to talk about certain things in the medical field that my son's mother didn't understand, and I said we can skip past that because I said I worked on the ambulance and I know the difference in all this here. This was making him angry. You see, but God showed me something about that coroner and that lieutenant detective. But he showed me something about one person that I trusted at that Carbondale Police Department that I communicated with, and that was the sergeant. For those of y'all that said I'm racist, he happened to be white. And if you look at my video, this is what the lieutenant told me, because he seen I was asking questions and my daughter's mother and my son's mother was breaking down, and he talking about I'll walk her to the truck. I don't need you to walk her to the truck. You already assuming our son died. He said, well, I don't need you. He didn't like that. I'm not a prisoner, so you can't tell me I can't walk her. And I walked her there as she was crying. We don't need you to pat her back. She crying because you keep on talking about y'all assuming from what some of y'all done read that my son committed suicide. We said we don't believe it. We still don't believe it. It's too many blacks being hung, and y'all keep on talking about they hung themselves, they committed suicide, and people just accept it. But I'm one black man that don't accept it. You see what I'm saying? But when I walked her to the car, he didn't like that. You see what I'm saying? I came back in the room with them. They couldn't intimidate me. But now, since I'm asking questions, I'm a black man with education, knowledge, you see what I'm saying? Of the legal field, in the medical field. You see what I'm saying? You couldn't tell me no anything. I ain't never seen a coroner that came to the conclusion somebody done committed suicide unless they done had some cameras somewhere around that committed a coroner that determined that somebody committed suicide, and you ain't even got your toxicology tests back. You ain't even took an autopsy. You see what I'm saying? Anybody in Carbondale, y'all question what some of these police do. Now that sergeant, I'm not gonna say his name. Well, if you look at my thing, he didn't mind being on there. But let me tell you, after this here, they said that is y'all gonna have the body staying here? The body, instead of being at a morgue, it's at a funeral home. I guess they said that's where they hold certain bodies at. You see what I'm saying? But it's at a funeral home. But when he came back after we got through with all this here, the coroner went over to my son's mother's and them vehicle, because they drove in different vehicles, and whispering to her, telling her, now listen to this here. To me, it's disrespect. To her, it was disrespect. To her other son, it was disrespect. And it was disrespect to my two daughters. And when I tell y'all will see it's disrespect. He told her, since his name ain't, Raymond's name ain't on the birth certificate, you see what I'm saying? Yours is, why don't you handle this here? She said it out loud. No, his daddy gonna handle this here. Then he said, if y'all gonna cremate him, I said, what you gonna use, the funeral home where he at? He said, no. He said, I got one that's real cheaper. You talking about cremation, we talking about investigation. Big difference. You want it to be a case closed. I don't care what your autopsy said tomorrow. Then, when we talking today, he said that his supervisor and the toxicologist said that I couldn't come because he don't want me, or she don't want me interrupting the thing. She don't even know me. She ain't never met me. You must have told her, because you just tell me on the phone when you call me and tell me what your captain said, the NAACP called y'all. That might not gonna be the only one that called y'all. I'm gonna get publicity on the Carbondale Police Department. Not all of them. That one sergeant, y'all, when you see who he is, I trust his word. But anyway, you said I got an attitude. Well, I'm arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. You said that she said that she didn't want me to disrupt you. But if she ain't never talked to me before, what was she seeing disrupted? And I told him, I said, what you seen was disrupted is when the coroner said, we saying hypothetically speaking again, January the 1st, when I stopped him and you said stop interrupting him, and I told him I wasn't talking to you, I'm talking to him. I want to know January the 1st of what year? You call that disruption. You said, well, then he said, well, I as a parent, I couldn't or I couldn't stand to see my a family member of mine getting cut open. I said, that's the difference than me and you. You see what I'm saying? I worked on the ambulance. I done seen brains hanging out. I done seen guts hanging out. I done seen arms and legs amputated. But I'm just gonna tell y'all this here. All of my activist friends, let's get some people down there, man. Let's get the calling down there to the NAACP in Carbondale, Missouri, Carbondale, Illinois, and call y'all representatives no matter what state y'all live to let them know another black man has been hung. You see what I'm saying? And they came to the conclusion of suicide without even waiting for the toxicology tests to come back or even taking an autopsy. Now all of a sudden, the autopsy is tomorrow at 9 and I can't come. Y'all think about that. What they trying to clear up. But one thing about it, no matter what conclusion y'all come by, and then they said the toxicologists want somebody that's independent. You can have another person that ain't a family member, but if my family member or I can't come, that's my son. Then if it's somebody independent, then you get some more police besides the coroner who assumed my son committed suicide and this lieutenant detective. Y'all partial because y'all work for the Carbondale Police Department and y'all in that particular circle. One thing about it, all blacks ain't passive, all blacks ain't stupid. You see what I'm saying? And I'm one black man that ain't gonna give up. I think somebody took my son's life. Peace be still.